and various agencies to begin identifying and releasing UAP-related files, which, as a member of the task force, that was really welcome news.
And I've been requesting that. I've been talking to White House staff for making that request since Trump stepped into office, and just saying this is something he ran on disclosure. I don't know that he directly said that he would release this topic, but he had surrogates that were saying that. And when he came in, he did some executive orders on disclosure. One was the JFK files, the other one was MLK files, but we did not see the UAP files. And I kept asking, and I'm glad. I mean, I guess we could thank Obama for kind of prompting it.
Do you see what I'm saying, though, when he said, unless there's an enormous conspiracy hiding it from the president? And when you dig into all of these different agencies that seem to have some tie to something UFO or UAP related, maybe there's this massive network where each agency knows a little bit, but not one single person knows everything. Could that perhaps be what he was alluding to there, or do you think he was just joking?
Well, no, I think that's exactly what he was alluding to. I also think that there have been several presidents who, during their tenure in the presidency, weren't informed on these programs, and either towards the tail end of their presidency or following their administration received a partial briefing. I mean, look at Barack Obama's campaign manager, John Podesta. His name is all over the WikiLeaks files, talking about various UAP meetings with Hillary Clinton and so forth, Tom DeLonge, the now missing General McCaslin and so forth. So this also extends to Bill Clinton. Looking at Bill Clinton's, he ran on kind of the disclosure promise, wanting to disclose the UAP files. After his presidency, his kind of position shifted drastically towards the topic, but he was saying that, to use the figure of speech, there was a there. I also find it interesting, under the Obama administration, all signs point to a coordinated effort to establish the next Democratic political candidate, Hillary Clinton, as the quote-unquote disclosure president, involving Tom DeLonge, involving the To the Stars Academy effort, involving Hillary Clinton, and involving DNI and Lieutenant General James Clapper and his protege, Stephanie O'Sullivan, the principal deputy director of national intelligence, and at that time, the deputy director of national intelligence for intelligence integration, one Mr. Michael Dempsey, who was at the time Obama's primary intelligence briefer. So if anybody excluded to read Obama into UAP-related special access programs at that time, it would have been Mr. Dempsey there. So yes, I do think there is an enormous conspiracy against presidential administrations, and Obama is well aware of that, and that's what he was alluding to.
I mean, that's pretty fascinating. A lot of names.
Independent researcher Sam Gerb, known online as UAPGerb, has spent 2 years building direct relationships with individuals who claim firsthand knowledge of UAP retrieval and exploitation programs. And to collect all that information, he doesn't even hold any government clearances. He sat down with Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson, a member of the House Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets, on the Fresh Freedom podcast.
I had always heard UAP crash retrieval programs and reverse engineering programs, and always thought of it as this nebulous bubble of, what could possibly be doing that? Is it the big U.S. government? Is it the big amorphous they? But then seeing David Grush testify and actually talking to various members and saying, misappropriation of funds, IRAD, independent research and development, are used to fund these programs. And I stopped looking at the subject so nebulously and was able to start kind of connecting dots. And since then, about 2 years, I've embarked on my own journey to meet with as many individuals who have claimed to work firsthand within these programs or have firsthand knowledge, engage with them and try and flesh out how these programs operate, their history, their modus operandi, and so forth.
What Gerb built from those 2 years is a structural map, really like a pyramid, and at the top sits what he calls a UAP control group. He says the last person to hold a centralized view of the entire portfolio was former Vice President Dick Cheney. When Cheney left office in 2009, that central oversight collapsed. No single person has held a complete picture since. Below that sits the intelligence agencies, the CIA, the NSA, the DIA, and the NGA, and all of the armed forces. Even their figureheads may not be read into it. It is a specific compartment within those structures that hold individual pieces. And below those sit the national laboratories like Sandia, Los Alamos, and Lawrence Livermore, government-owned but corporate operated, which Gerb says provides plausible deniability. And at the base are the defense prime contractors, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. And those personnel may be building components of something without ever being told what the broader program actually is. Compartmentalization by design, Gerb argues, this architecture was not built by accident. It was built to survive over 8 decades.
When I talk about UAP retrieval and exploitation programs, I reference a set of programs that have probably been in existence since 1947 or before. This program or set of programs started as what we consider a Manhattan Project 2.0, a really coordinated effort to both retrieve and store and exploit non-human technical vehicles with extended secrecy programs in the Cold War. So we didn't reveal what we had to the Soviets, where the legacy program structure has had to adapt, morph, and change to take advantage and hide from these oversight movements, utilizing cover offices, different secret programs, creative funding mechanisms, and morph and change to hide itself. And over time, that is what's led to this incredibly difficult jigsaw puzzle that men like you and Dave Grush and others are trying to piece together and get a full picture of.
The complexity is not a flaw, it's the system. What comes next goes directly at that, so don't go anywhere. Back in 1954, the Atomic Energy Commission, the predecessor to the Department of Energy, created a legal category called restricted data. That is what is known as Bourne classification. So these materials are secret by their very nature, requiring no executive order to classify them and no executive order to declassify them. That same language appeared in the UAP Disclosure Amendment of 2023, the year after, and the year after that. The Department of Energy also runs its own intelligence office, its own secure transportation unit, and its own national laboratory network. Whistleblower Dylan Borland, who testified before the House in 2025, stated that while working at the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, he encountered Atomic Energy Commission files concluding that some UAP were not of human origin, and this classification architecture was built to be president-proof. A single executive order cannot touch it. Now on to AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the official government body meant to bring transparency to UAP. But according to Gerb and others, it was never built to find answers.
We have the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, which has seemed to serve as a honeypot for valuable UAP information, and its disgraced ex-director, Sean Kirkpatrick. I think people should start to question his relationship with then USDI, or Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, Ronald Moultrie, who helped stand up AARO. So always seems to be some sort of opposition when Congress pushes into this issue.
Ronald Moultrie, the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, had also been involved in the UAP oversight before AARO existing as part of its predecessor body, the AOI-MSG. You might remember him from the 2022 hearing from the AOI-MSG. Now, at around the time that AARO was being established, Moultrie quietly removed his board membership from the MITRE Corporation from his official biography. MITRE is an institution multiple sources have connected to the study of recovered non-human craft, and everything AARO did under the director of Sean Kirkpatrick required Moultrie's review. He sat directly above Kirkpatrick in the chain of command. So even though he left the AOI-MSG, he was still heavily involved in AARO.
I have personally spoken to individuals who have had their pensions threatened by expressing interest in the topic, and some extremely grievous allegations, some other individuals who have claimed that they have been threatened with very explicit content crimes if they were to go forward with some of their knowledge about the UAP programs. So it seems like there is a very large intimidation and bullying structure used to prevent people from speaking on this.
Burleson has spoken directly with individuals who say fabricated crime charges were used as a threat to keep them silent. This is not a career risk. That is a threat to someone's freedom. Whistleblower protection language is currently being pushed for inclusion in the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, with the goal of placing it in the base text where it becomes significantly harder to remove. And while Congress keeps hitting those walls, Gates speaks out from outside the institution now, mentioning this.
I believe that the United States military has benefited from the acquisition of technology and the reverse engineering of that technology. Do I know its origin from aliens or outer space? I just know it's not something that is indigenous to our own defense ecosystem.
The oversight is being softened from inside, and witnesses are being silenced before they even reach the right people. What would it actually take for any of this to change?